Hey everybody, welcome back to Horror Trans. My name is Stephanie Bree. I'm a transgender woman who talks about all things horror. And today I'm doing the horror icon, air quotes, Stanley Kubrick. Now, Stanley Kubrick is more of I'm going to classify him as an experimental filmmaker. His movies, by and large, are hard to define by genre. Most famously, he did A Clockwork Orange. He did The Shining, which we're going to talk about. And he also did Full Metal Jacket, among a handful of other weird-ass fucking movies that are going to make you scratching your head like, what the fuck am I watching? I hesitate to put Stanley Kubrick on the horror icon list because he only really did one true horror movie, to my knowledge, that you could, his other movies you could argue all day long what genre they are, but they're like genre-bending experimental films, so they're basically just fucking Stanley Kubrick films. That's their genre. But The Shining is decidedly horror. Now, I've already reviewed The Shining on Horror Trans. Go watch that review, but spoilers, I didn't enjoy it. And I didn't enjoy it for a lot of reasons. And one of the reasons I didn't enjoy it is because I'm not a fan of Stanley Kubrick's films. By and large. I somewhat enjoyed A Clockwork Orange in that it was a fascinating film and it was, a curiosity. And as a journalist, who did cover I didn't ever go overseas and cover any wars, but we were at war when I was a journalist, and so I did interview soldiers about the war who were coming home, the war in Afghanistan. So I did a whole series of stories on vets of the Afghanistan war who had PTSD, and I did a whole series of stories on them because the damage that PTSD does on them. So I can relate to the journalist in Full Metal Jacket, even though I was not a soldier implanted overseas. I still have first-hand accounts from soldiers who were there that have me, very hesitant to talk about U.S. military operations. Because your instinct is to just say, fuck the U.S. military, but, you can't really just go that far because not all soldiers are bad. Most of them aren't. It's just the people telling them to do bad things are the bad people. But also, if you're doing the bad things the bad people are telling you to do, what does that make you? I don't know, but we're not getting into that. But the decidedly horror film, the unabashedly, unmistakably horror film that Stanley Kubrick did adapt was The Shining, which was an adaptation of a Stephen King film, or a Stephen King book. Stephen King has notoriously and infamously gone on record saying he hates this film, and he did not have a good professional or working relationship with Stanley Kubrick. And that's really all I can say is Kubrick did a lot of weird shit. He got, for whatever reason, drew the smallest straw and got tasked with adapting a Stephen King film. And, in my opinion, made one of probably the worst Stephen King adaptations ever made. And that's saying a lot, because I fucking hate The Shining. I'm gonna just save you some time. I hate that fucking movie. That's all I can say. Stanley Kubrick barely qualifies as a horror icon. Now, he made a film that is beloved, inexplicably to me, among horror fans. But it is what it is.